You ever have one of those days where the world just decides to take a giant dump on your head? It happened to me. I was living what I thought was a decent life with my wife Shelby and our 2 kids. Nothing extraordinary, but hey, it worked. Until the day I found out Shelby was playing house with some guy named Trevor. Yep, Trevor. Even his name sounded like a midlife crisis on legs. I caught them. Not in the act, thank God. I'm not sure my eyeballs could have survived that, but I saw enough. Texts, phone calls, and one particular message that went something like, "Last night was amazing. I want to do it again, and maybe try something else." Real original, huh? So, naturally, I confronted Shelby. And let me tell you, if there were an Olympic sport for fake apologizing, she'd take home the gold. Tears, promises, the whole shebang. "I want to make this work, Marcus. I'll do whatever it takes." Sure. Therapy, open phones, no more lies. She laid it all out like a desperate car salesman trying to meet quota. And like an idiot, I bought it. For a while. But Shelby? Oh, Shelby had other plans. Turns out she didn't actually stop seeing Trevor. She just got sneakier about it. The texts? Gone from her phone. But guess who forgot that her iPad syncs with her messages? Yeah, me. So now I've got a front row seat to her ongoing affair, complete with timestamps and emojis. I didn't confront her again right away. Nope. This time, I had a plan. I was done being the clueless husband everyone laughed about at their happy hour pity parties. First, I was going to confront Trevor. Then, I was going to serve Shelby divorce papers. Oh, and I made sure it was going to be a day she'd never forget. Let's go back to one of those days. There I was, sitting in my car outside Trevor's house. It's 7 a.m., I've got a thermos of coffee, a stomach full of nerves, and a playlist of angry rock music to keep me company. Shelby didn't know I was there. Trevor didn't know I was there. But I was ready to light their little fantasy world on fire. The plan was simple. Wait for Trevor to leave for work, follow him, and confront him. If he didn't leave, I'd go knock on his door. Direct. Bold. Probably stupid. But hey, stupid had gotten me this far. Trevor finally walked out, briefcase in hand, looking like he stepped out of a catalog for mediocre life choices. I followed him to his office, parked a few spaces away, and waited until he got out of his car. Then I stepped out of mine, heart pounding, and called out, "Hey, Trevor, got a second?" You should have seen his face. He froze mid-step, eyes darting around like he was checking for escape routes. Do I know you?" "Oh, you know me," I said, stepping closer. "I'm Marcus, Shelby's husband. Ring a bell?" Boom. His face went from pale to full-on panic mode in 2 seconds flat. He stammered something about not wanting any trouble, but I wasn't there to make friends. "Look, Trevor, I'm not here to fight. I just want to know the truth. Shelby's been feeding me lies for months, and I want to hear it straight from you. What's been going on?" And to his credit, or maybe because he's just a coward, Trevor spilled. Dates, calls, secret meetings. He even admitted to sneaking around while Shelby and I were in therapy. Classy, right? "Thanks for confirming everything," I said, recording every word on my phone. "You'll be hearing from Shelby soon, and maybe her parents. They're gonna love this." Later that day, Shelby and I had a therapy session scheduled. Perfect timing, right? I walked in, calm as a cucumber, while Shelby gave me her usual fake smile. We sat down and the therapist started with, "So, how's everything going this week?" I didn't even let Shelby answer. "I talked to Trevor yesterday." Silence. Shelby's face went white, and she looked at me like I'd just pulled out a grenade. You what?" "Yeah, I talked to him," I said. "And guess what? He sold you out. Told me everything. The calls, the meetings, the little love notes, all of it." Her jaw dropped. "Marcus, Nope," I cut her off. "Save it. I've heard enough lies from you to last a lifetime. I wanted to believe you, Shelby. I really did. But you've been lying to my face this whole time. So, here's the deal." I pulled out the divorce papers and slid them across the table. "I'm done. Sign these, and we can figure out how to co-parent without tearing the kids apart. But this marriage, it's over." Shelby started crying, of course. Big, dramatic sobs that could probably win her an Oscar. But I didn't care. The therapist tried to mediate, but there wasn't much to say. Shelby had made her bed. Well, Trevor's bed. And now she had to lie in it. You'd think telling your in-laws that their perfect daughter is a lying, cheating mess would feel good, like a little victory lap. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. It's just awkward and exhausting. I showed up at Shelby's parents' house that afternoon, divorce papers in hand. Her mom opened the door, smiling like I was delivering cookies instead of nuking her perception of her daughter. "Hi, Marcus. What a surprise," she chirped. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. We need to talk." We sat in the living room. Her dad, a man of few words, gave me his usual stoic nod. Her mom poured tea like this was a casual catch-up. Then I dropped the bomb. "Shelby and I are divorcing," I said bluntly. Her mom froze mid-pour, tea sloshing over the rim. Her dad's stoic mask cracked. Barely, but enough to let me know I had his attention. "Why?" her mom whispered. "What happened?" Here's where it got tricky. I didn't want to humiliate Shelby, but I wasn't about to lie either. "She's been unfaithful," I said, "with a guy named Trevor. I found out 3 months ago and tried to work it out, but she kept seeing him behind my back." Her mom burst into tears instantly, clutching her chest like I'd told her the family dog died. Her dad? Still stone-faced. I couldn't tell if he was angry, disappointed, or just processing. "I'm not here to bash Shelby," I continued. "You're her parents, and she's going to need you. I just thought you should know the truth. And I need you to help her for the kids' sake. They shouldn't have to live in chaos because of all this." Her dad finally spoke. "You're a good man, Marcus. Better than most would be in your shoes." That almost broke me. I thanked them, hugged her mom, shook her dad's hand, and left before things got too emotional. I had more chaos to deal with. If there's a handbook on how to tell someone their spouse is cheating, I'd love to read it, because I was winging it. I called Trevor's wife, Kelly, and left a voicemail. "Hey, Kelly, this is Marcus. I need to talk to you about something important. Can we meet in person?" She called back within an hour, voice shaky. "What's this about?" she asked. "It's better if we talk face-to-face," I said. "Are you free this afternoon?" We met at a neutral spot, a quiet cafe where no one knew us. She showed up looking polished but tense, like she'd already guessed this wasn't going to be a fun chat. "Kelly, I'm really sorry to have to tell you this," I began, "but your husband Trevor has been having an affair with my wife Shelby." Her reaction was immediate and explosive. 3 months?" she shouted, slamming her coffee cup down. "You knew for 3 damn months and didn't tell me?" I held up my hands. I didn't want to make things worse until I knew for sure what was going on. Trust me, I hated keeping this from you. She wasn't having it. "I trusted him. We have kids together. And he's been sneaking around with your wife?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "I have proof if you want to see it." Kelly stared at me, fury in her eyes. "What proof?" I pulled out my phone and played her a video I'd taken of Trevor admitting everything. Her face went from rage to devastation as she watched. By the time the video ended, she was sobbing into her hands. "I'm so sorry, Kelly," I said. "You didn't deserve this. None of us did." She nodded through tears. "Thank you for telling me. I need to think." We hugged awkwardly, and I left, feeling like I just ripped apart someone else's world. Again. Before you find out what happens next, please subscribe to the channel. When I got home, Shelby was waiting in the driveway, pacing and chain-smoking like a woman on the edge. The second she saw me, she launched into a full-blown tantrum. "You told my parents?" she screamed, throwing her cigarette to the ground. "How dare you, Marcus? You're such a—" I hit record on my phone, tucked it in my pocket, and stepped out of the car. "Yeah, I told them," I said calmly. "They deserve to know why we're divorcing." Her rage crumbled into tears. "You're ruining my life." "No, Shelby," I said, voice steady. "You ruined your own life. I'm just cleaning up the mess." She broke down, sobbing in the driveway. For a second, I felt sorry for her. This was the woman I once loved, the mother of my kids, but I couldn't let her guilt trip me. "Get your stuff," I said. "You can stay with your parents, but you're not staying here tonight." "You can't do this," she wailed. "You can't take my kids away from me." "I'm not," I said firmly, "but they don't need to see you like this right now. You can see them tomorrow when you've calmed down." She tried to argue, but I wasn't budging. Finally, she stormed into the house to pack a bag. When she left, she slammed the door so hard it knocked a picture off the wall. I sighed, poured myself a drink, and replayed the chaos of the day in my head. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Breaking the news to my kids was, hands down, one of the worst moments of my life. I'd practiced what to say 100 times, but nothing prepares you for the look on your kids' faces when you tell them their world is about to implode. Shelby and I sat them down after dinner. Our son Ethan was busy stacking Lego bricks, while our daughter Lily doodled on her tablet. They looked so peaceful, so oblivious to the storm coming their way. "Hey guys," I started, my voice already cracking. "Mom and I need to talk to you about something important." Ethan immediately stopped building, and Lily set her pen down. They knew something was up. Shelby jumped in, her voice shaky. "We love you both so much, and none of this is your fault, okay? But Mom and Dad are going to be living in separate houses soon." Boom. Silence. Then came the questions. "Why?" Ethan asked, his little brows furrowed in confusion. We're not getting along the way we used to," Shelby said, her voice trembling. "But we both love you very much." Lily, ever the sharper of the two, squinted at me. "Is this because of Mom's boyfriend?" Cue Shelby's horrified gasp. I froze. Ethan whipped his head around to his sister, wide-eyed. "Mom has a boyfriend?" I sighed and ran a hand through my hair. "Look, guys, it's complicated, but yes, that's part of it. We're going to work really hard to make sure this doesn't change how much we love you or how we take care of you." Lily's lip quivered. "I don't want you to get divorced." My heart shattered. "I know, sweetheart," I said softly. "Neither do we, but sometimes things just don't work out the way we hope." Shelby started crying, again, and tried to hug them, but they both pulled away. Ethan crossed his arms, staring at the floor, while Lily stormed off to her room. Shelby shot me a glare. "You didn't have to tell them about the boyfriend." "They deserve the truth," I said flatly. "You should try it sometime." "After all the chaos, you'd think I'd be smarter, right? That I'd stick to my guns and keep things strictly business between Shelby and me?" "Yeah, not so much. It happened on a night that should have been normal. The kids were asleep, and Shelby and I were decorating for Christmas. Despite everything, we both wanted the kids to have some sense of normalcy. We laughed as we strung lights and hung ornaments, reminiscing about past holidays. For a few hours, it felt like old times. Then came the eggnog and the brandy, lots of brandy. By the time we were sitting on the couch, watching It's a Wonderful Life, her favorite Christmas movie, the mood had shifted. Shelby leaned over and kissed my neck. I should have stopped her. I thought about stopping her, but instead, I turned and, well, let's just say it wasn't exactly a wonderful life moment. The next morning, I woke up filled with regret. Shelby, on the other hand, looked hopeful. "Does this mean we're—" "No," I said firmly, cutting her off. "It doesn't change anything. It shouldn't have happened, and it won't happen again." Her face fell, but she nodded. "Okay." I spent the rest of the day kicking myself. What the hell was I thinking? After all the lying, the cheating, the therapy, I just handed her hope on a silver platter. Now I had to figure out how to clean up my own mess. The weeks that followed were a roller coaster. Shelby was on her best behavior, which only made things harder. She apologized constantly, offered to help around the house, and tried to act like the perfect wife. But every time I looked at her, all I could see were the lies. We started therapy again, not as a couple but as co-parents. Our sessions were less about reconciliation and more about figuring out how to navigate this mess without ruining the kids. You need to be honest with yourself, our therapist said to me during one session. Do you want to move forward with Shelby, or are you holding on out of guilt? That question haunted me. Did I still love her? Could I trust her again? Or was I just scared of starting over? Shelby, for her part, was relentless. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, Marcus, she said one night. I'll earn your trust back. Just give me a chance. I wanted to believe her. God, did I want to. But trust doesn't just grow back overnight. It's built brick by brick, and we were still standing in the rubble. As winter turned into spring, something shifted. Shelby was different. Genuinely different. She opened up in therapy about her fears, her insecurities, and why she turned to Trevor in the first place. It didn't excuse what she'd done, but it made her human again. And me? I started to let go of the anger. Not entirely. Some scars never fully heal, but enough to see that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild something from the ashes. By summer, we made a decision. To try. For the kids, we both realized we still wanted to fight for us. Was it easy? Hell no. Some days were downright miserable, but slowly, through therapy, honesty, and a lot of patience, we started to find our way back to each other. I know what some of you are thinking. Marcus, you idiot. Why would you give her another chance? Trust me, I've asked myself that question more times than I can count. The truth is, I didn't do it just for Shelby. I did it for our kids. You see, I grew up in a divorced household. My parents split when I was 9, and let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. Weekends at Dad's house, weekdays with Mom, awkward birthday parties where they'd barely speak to each other. It was a mess. I remember lying awake at night, wishing I could glue them back together like some broken toy. That kind of pain sticks with you. When I looked at Ethan and Lily, I saw myself. I didn't want them to feel that same hurt, that same confusion. If there was even a chance Shelby and I could make it work, I had to try, for them. It helped that our family and friends were surprisingly supportive. My parents, who'd been through their own divorce hell, told me they admired my willingness to fight for my marriage. Even Shelby's parents, who could have easily sided with her, told me they were proud of how I handled everything. Most of our friends were on board too, though there were a few exceptions. One guy, let's call him Derek, decided to play devil's advocate at a barbecue, while everyone else was saying things like, "Good for you, Marcus," and "I'm glad you're giving it another shot." Derek took a swig of his beer and said, "You know, Shelby's probably a pro at this now. She could cheat on you again, and you'd never catch her." Cue the record scratch in my brain. Everyone else laughed it off, but that comment hit me like a gut punch. I brushed it off at the time, but later that night, lying in bed, those words kept replaying in my head. What if he's right? What if I'm being played again? That's when my inner detective kicked into overdrive. Look, I know trust is supposed to be the foundation of a healthy relationship, but after everything Shelby put me through, I needed more than her word to feel secure. So, I took precautions. Extreme precautions. First, I installed a tracking app on her phone. Shelby had given me full access to her devices, but I didn't want her to know I was watching. The app sent me copies of her texts, call logs, and even her browsing history. Paranoid? Absolutely. Necessary? Probably. Next, I put a GPS tracker on her car. I know it sounds crazy, but I needed to know where she was going when she said she was running errands or meeting friends. I even bought a few hidden cameras and set them up in the house. Nothing invasive, just common areas like the kitchen and living room. If Shelby was sneaking around, I'd catch her. I hated doing it. Every time I opened the app or checked the tracker, I felt like I was betraying her all over again. But Derek's words kept ringing in my ears. You'd never catch her. I couldn't let that be true. Weeks turned into months, and guess what? Nothing happened. Shelby was a model citizen. No suspicious texts, no late-night calls, no unexplained trips. She'd come home from work, cook dinner, play with the kids, and fall asleep watching Netflix like a normal human being. At first, I thought she was just being careful, but over time, it became clear that she was genuinely trying. She went out of her way to rebuild my trust, leaving her phone out in the open, sharing her schedule, and checking in constantly. She even started additional therapy sessions on her own, which was a huge step. And slowly, I started to hope. Hope that maybe she really had changed. Hope that the woman I fell in love with was still in there somewhere. Hope that we could actually get through this and come out stronger on the other side. I won't lie. There's still a part of me that's waiting for the other shoe to drop. Old wounds don't heal overnight, and trust doesn't rebuild itself. But for now, I'm holding on to the small victories. Shelby's actions are finally starting to match her words, and that means something. Do I regret putting the trackers and cameras in place? Not really. They gave me peace of mind when I needed it most. But I also know I can't live like this forever. At some point, I'll have to let go of the paranoia and trust that Shelby won't go back to her old ways. I want to believe she's learned her lesson. I want to believe we can rebuild the life we had, not just for the kids, but for ourselves. Maybe it's naive. Maybe I'll look back on this and think I was a fool. But for now, I'm choosing to believe in her, and in us. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to the channel. I wish you a great mood and good luck.